goals to one forward and 1 goal 7 to another. Sums up the game a bit, doesn't it?
It sums up a pretty large part of it. Yeah, I think probably doesn't take into account the other opportunities that we missed that were pretty simple opportunities. Obviously, Wadey got a lot of shots and didn't take the majority of them. But we had other areas of the game too where we worked really hard to generate pretty simple opportunities and we just didn't take it. Now that's an issue in and of itself, but unfortunately too many times the ball went straight back down the other end and we got scored against too. So there was a bit of a double whammy in that area. But yeah, it's something we'll continue to work on because I didn't get the sense that we were taking pot shots from poor positions either. They were just pretty simple shots and pretty simple opportunities that we didn't take. And the flip side, I mean, Kennedy 7 straight, including a couple from the pie stand and Cripps, and they're skillful players and they took their chances, which is full credit to them.
Overall, do you think that's the difference today, just in terms of taking the chances, or what was your take on the game?
No, I think there's obviously a lot more to it. There are layers of complexity, but simplifying the game, it's a big part of it, certainly a big part, because you look at key numbers, inside 50s, clearances, contested possession, they're pretty close. But the other part that they really got on top of us, particularly the longer the game went on, was they dominated uncontested possession, and they were able to. They're a skillful side, and they were able to control the ball for far too long at times, and they made us chase for a lot longer than we would have liked. We would have liked to have got the ball back a lot earlier and turned the pressure back on them. So it's too simplistic to say that, gee, if we kick straight we would have won, because I don't believe that's the case. But it would have made the game a lot more competitive.
Early on there was particularly that period though as well. I think it was the first term when you had it locked in for about 10 minutes straight, but I think you only won 4 or something like that. You finally broke it, but you had the zone working right. It just wasn't that efficiency. Yeah,
and that's sometimes very frustrating. But if you continue to build that pressure and structurally everything's really good, then you're pleased, and eventually you hope that the damn wall breaks a little bit. But they transitioned us a few times too easily, and it's a real morale sapper when you do dominate periods of play. Early in the third, early in the fourth, various stages throughout the first half, and then you don't score, but then get scored against. So that's the challenge for us to take the positives out of the game, because I still think there were quite a few, but technically we need to improve in a lot of areas.
What were those positives? What do you think went well?
I think purely the fact that the first quarter, second quarter, we were right in the game and taking it up to a pretty good side, and we played the style that we wanted to play, and I think had them on the back foot at various times, but they responded to that pretty well, and we weren't able to halt their momentum quickly enough at various stages. But when your side looks, basically a third of the side looks different, it's potentially going to leave us vulnerable in sustaining our effort, but we want to really coach effort really strongly, and I thought in and around the contest we had that, but we got outworked a little bit outside the contest. So we'll continue to coach that and make the necessary changes we need to, both in personnel and style.
With someone like Kennedy on the ground, he's getting on, and how do you stop that? Is that in the defence, or is that a little further on the field when, as you say, those vulnerabilities have been exposed?
Oh, it's a bit of both. I still, without disrespecting any other key forwards in the game, I think if he's not the best, he's very close to it. So if the ball movement's pretty crisp, he's going to be very hard to stop. Lacra's been a very good and a very smart player for a long time. So yeah, a lot of it relates to upfield. But I didn't think as a defensive group we covered ourselves in glory today. I think we were, by our own admission, we were very poor, both with our one-on-one defending, with our zone defending, and with our support for our defence. So you always want pressure upfield, but there's no excuse to our defensive half today.
There's an effort you talk about when you have 3 blokes getting over 30, Mitchell gets nearly 40 touches. Is that losing the ball on the outside and allowing that volume of uncontested possession?
Mitchell was good. He's a good player, has been, but I again, without being disrespectful, I didn't think he was the difference in the game. I didn't think, I thought our midfield held up, really well in the contest. We had ruck dominance, we didn't get clearance dominance, and we certainly, I think the scores from stoppages are pretty even, but they kick 14 goals and we kick 4. So there's what do you put it down to? At the end, is it goal kicking accuracy? It was pretty even and around there. But yeah, I think that in the first half, in particular, our effort to defend and cover was really good. But as we said a number of times, we may be vulnerable at times, game to game. Both quarter to quarter, because youth finds it hard to sustain. But that certainly doesn't mean that we're going to accept it, and we'll make the necessary changes to make sure that we get the guys in who can sustain their effort a little better.
Who do you think was the picker to new faces?
I thought they all had their moments. They all showed signs that suggest they're going to have good AFL careers. But they also got as all debutants do when you play against good opposition, they get a bit of a wake-up call that, this is the big time now. So, I don't want to single any of them out. I thought they all showed signs, but there are a number of other guys who didn't get opportunity today that we'd like to get into the side too. So I suspect we're going to be a team that's going to make changes on a pretty regular basis.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you.